Everyone seems to go in with their style, and he gets to you and makes you fight in a phone booth.
12 3-minute rounds is a long time to be able to catch somebody with the power that he carries.
I feel like it is the classic boxer-puncher type fight, yeah.
Are you favoring him?
I think it's a heart and head thing.
I saw some boxing fans complaining about this card. Are you insane?
If I were to be that guy, it would be that fight for me.
I love the fact that we're finally getting a women's fight, and it's a fight that matters.
It's just frustrating because he does have a profile. He has a big name. He's a big draw.
When you see that, you say this guy's a
If I had the energy to do the same thing, I would, but I can't do it.
The Roundtable crew has been assembled again, and we're going to do a deep dive on, I think, one of the best fights in years. Definitely one of the biggest fights this year. I'm talking about Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol, to find out who really is numero uno in the light heavyweight division. Darren Barker, Joseph Parker, Ariel Helwani. Look, I'm going to kind of start backwards here. You'll get where I'm going with this one. Who is the favorite in this fight? So not who do you think is going to win the fight, right? We'll get into that conversation. Who is the favorite to win? Do Yeah?
I disagree. I disagree for two reasons. Number one, he's coming off a pretty serious injury, so while he has been rehabbing and trying to get back to form, Bivol's been active. He fought, I know, lesser competition, but he hasn't had to do that. And I think that Bivol's the better boxer. Beterbiev is the better puncher, the harder puncher, but Bivol's the better boxer. And so for that reason, I favor Bivol.
I favour Bivol as well.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, I feel like he's more precise with his punches and good footwork. I feel like with Beterbiev, he's very powerful, but he is getting old. Coming into his 40.
He's been 39 for like 10 years. he's always been this old guy, hasn't he?
But then again, he's always looked old.
Yeah.
It's not like he's all of a sudden aged overnight. I favour Bivol. I like his feet. I think arguably pound for pound free in footwork department. I think he's that good, the way he glides in and out effortlessly. And he doesn't jump out of range too far. He'll make you miss by that much. And that much is the difference between winning and losing.
Also very technical. Very technical.
Quick hands.
Patient.
Will Beterbiev be able to close the gap? I don't know if he'll be able to.
Is there not going to be one time in this fight, look, potentially this goes 12 rounds unless Beterbiev does what he always does, which is knock you out. But is there not going to be a time where Bivol has to engage? Like, his footwork is so good, but surely there's going to be a time when he has to man-o-man it with Beterbiev, and that's where the problems could come.
100%. And honestly, if this was happening in June, when it was supposed to happen originally, and we're coming off of Bivol Artur, I would be saying a completely different thing. I wasn't very impressed with him in that fight. I think he regained a lot of our trust and confidence after how he looked in June. You know, I felt like he was a little lackadaisical. I felt like he wasn't engaging. I felt like he was just trying to get the win in that fight on the December 23rd card. So yes, at some point he is going to be thrown into the fire, and I think that's the big question. What happens when this mountain of a man is coming at you with those hard punches? How do you respond? Now, he is great at often eluding those punches and outboxing the puncher, but I can't wait. That's the big question, right? That's the big question going into this fight. Beterbiev is older, no doubt about it, but doesn't have as much miles as your typical 39-year-old, right? Just 20 fights. So he doesn't have the wear and tear. I am worried, like when he got injured in early May, when we found out about the knee injury, I thought, all right, we're probably going to see these guys in December. I'm a little surprised that he's coming back so soon after an injury like that. I mean, the knee is such an important part, and obviously there's different levels to the surgery that you can have. But are you surprised knowing that he had to have surgery back?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I also understand that you can't be waiting around for too long. You literally, and we've seen this time and time again, fighters can age overnight. Yeah. They can. And you just don't know. It could happen literally in the space of 6 months. So perhaps they thought, we won't be 100%, but we'll be fit enough to compete.
If this wasn't a Riyadh season event, I'm with Ariel. He's sitting this out into the new year. 100%. I almost feel like with these Riyadh season events, and I've spoken to a lot of fighters, they see the dates, obviously the money's a bit more extreme. Joseph could maybe speak to that. And they're like, we've got to take this. If this wasn't that, he's fighting December, he's fighting January, maybe even later. He's not fighting in October. He's not fighting Artur. Is this boxer puncher though?
I feel like it is the classic boxer puncher type fight. Yeah.
Beterbiev will lay out his amateur accolades and say, 1 second, I can box as well. I mean, yes, Bivol's maybe technically a better boxer, but Beterbiev's surely more than just a puncher. Surely.
He's kind of unorthodox for me, Beterbiev. I think the way that he stands, his base is a little bit not conventional, but he's well scored. He has that amateur pedigree that has served him really, really well. When we did the initial press conference, there's this real respect I feel from Bivol towards Beterbiev. There has been rumours that they sparred, and I'm not too sure what happened then. Bivol would have been the younger at the time, obviously. But I just sense this real kind of, not so much looking up to Beterbiev.
I actually think Beterbiev's looking down to Bivol.
I think so.
I think they were obviously both as amateurs in the Russian camp. Beterbiev was the senior, Bivol was the junior, and the seniors just didn't look at the juniors. Beterbiev was the man. I almost feel like he still thinks that's the case. Now, I am the senior here, you're the junior, and why are you even on my same playing field? I almost feel like there's an arrogance to Beterbiev.
I've seen your Green Chair YouTube channel. Are you favoring him? Can you?
I think it's a heart and head thing. Like, the heart wants Bivol to win. The head says Beterbiev's going to make him have a fight that maybe he doesn't want to have. I've seen this with Beterbiev, where everyone seems to go in with their style. Callum Smith tried it. Vosdick, Olympic gold medalist, tried it. And he gets to you and makes you fight in a phone booth that you don't want to be. And I feel like we're going to see how tough Bivol is, because there's going to be a time where Bivol has to engage.
Do you know what?
He has to stand and fight.
He's going to have to stand and fight to get his respect, or it's going to be 12 rounds of Beterbiev walking him down.
Relentless pressure.
I think that will be the case, but I think everything's going to be on Bivol's terms. He's so smart, and when he engages, when he lets the flurries of shots go, though some of the rounds will be close, I honestly think he's going to win this comfortably.
Wow.
I think there's going to be there's going to be moments for Beterbiev, and he's always going to look dangerous. It's going to be one of those fights I believe will go the distance, but it will go like that. It will go so quickly because you're on the edge of your seats, because at any moment he could switch Bivol's lights out. I don't think Bivol stops Beterbiev, but I do think it will be a unanimous decision.
I love it. And I could see it as well, although you kind of flip-flopped from the beginning, because you did say that Beterbiev...
No, I feel the bookies will have Beterbiev favourite because look, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's 12 rounds, 12 3-minute rounds. There's a long time to be able to catch somebody with the power that he carries. And if you're bookies, I think the smart money would probably be backing Beterbiev, because he's always got a chance from any time in that contest. That's why I think the bookies will back Beterbiev as favourite. I certainly go with Bivol.
And you back him as well because of the body of work. I mean, you remove Canelo, who 168 guy going up to 175. You look what Beterbiev's done, body of work, whether it be Marcus Brown, Joe Smith, Anthony Yard, which was a good fight back in the UK, Callum Smith. Like, he's put a lot of bodies to sleep. Some good bodies as well. Whereas you look at Bivol and Zerdo, yes. Yeah, I'm still not quite sure about Zerdo. Canelo obviously looked big win in Vegas. But Beterbiev's had the better body of work.
I think we've seen the best of Beterbiev. I don't think we've seen the best of Bivol. And I think the best of Bivol is arguably the best out.
I will also say Beterbiev is used to being the man on the big stage. He fights in Canada. He's selling out those shows. He's the headliner. Bivol sometimes, I think shies away from the big stage, is fighting, chief support, as you say. Not necessarily, other than the Canelo fight, it didn't feel like the show was built around him. And let's be honest, he was a bit of a bit player against Canelo. So there's going to be a lot of pressure come that fight week. Beterbiev is used to that pressure. He's used to the spotlight. I'm wondering how Bivol handles all of that.
I don't know, the occasion against Canelo. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that, does it?
There was no pressure on him whatsoever, right? That was all about Canelo. Yeah. The story of that fight was Canelo moving up, and he was a bit player. The story wasn't Canelo versus Bivol. It was Canelo trying to go up to 175 and do the business there. Now this is Bivol Beterbiev. It's 50-50. There are hardcore Bivol fans and there are hardcore Beterbiev fans. And so I'm just curious how he deals with it. Now, I think it actually helps him that it's in Riyadh. It's a little bit different than being, in front of 50,000 people or even 25,000 people in Montreal, where Beterbiev is beloved. So I'm just curious how he rises to the occasion. I'm backing him as well, as much as it pains me to back a Montreal guy. George St. Pierre, I remember many, many moons ago, who the great UFC champion was training with Beterbiev, and he told me, like, this is the guy. Before he really burst on the scene, he couldn't have spoken more highly about someone. And when GSP tells you that about a fighter of any kind, you listen. And so I have always adored him for that reason. But I just think the boxing, the age, and the fact that he's been more active and not injured is going to be huge factors in his favor. And Bill's
Before I go around the table and get predictions, is the winner of this obviously the best light heavyweight of this era, this generation? But are we talking one of the best light heavies of all time? The winner of this fight. I mean,
you got to have dance partners, don't you? When you look at some of the light heavyweights out there, it's tremendous fighters. They've all had brilliant dance partners. You would have to put them in an argument. You would have to put them in the argument, and I look at that on ability alone. I try and look at it as a former boxer. When I look at those, putting them in with all these former greats, how would they fare? And you'd have to give them a hell of a chance. With the boxing ability of Bivol, you put them in there with most. The punching power, arguably one of the biggest punchers of all time, Beterbiev.
Imagine Beterbiev versus Pete Kovalev. That would have been incredible.
I mean, that's what a fantasy fight.
It's not always an undisputed, it's unbeaten. But the winner of this will be unbeaten, undisputed, and the division has been cleaned up from both of them. So I would say, okay, go around the table. Who wins? How?
Oh, God. I agree with Mr. Barker. Bivol decision. Yeah.
Same. Bivol, unanimous decision.
Bivol, unanimous decision.
Wow, it's a clean sweep because I'm Team Bivol.
Yeah.
So it's a clean sweep. Bivol to win October 12th. Great undercard as well, by the way. Really good undercard. It's a shame that we are losing Shakur Stevenson versus Joe Cordina. Joe won't be on the card as well, which is a shame. But there's some good fights on the undercard, some good...
I saw some boxing fans complaining about this card. Are you insane?
Because they're crazy sometimes.
I mean, it's just these cards, every single one has someone that we are emotionally invested in, whether it's just one guy or both. I love the fact that we're finally getting a women's fight on one of these cards, and it's a fight that matters. It's a fight that we've wanted to see Sky Nicholson in, to see her get tested against someone like Chapman. This card is... I couldn't believe when I saw people complaining. Do you not remember 3 years ago when you were just getting one fight at the top and a bunch of nothing? This is a great card, even without the... And you had Shakur. They were complaining when Shakur was on there.
What more do you want? I mean, every fight on there probably could warrant being the top of the bill on any other card. Chris Eubank Jr., for me, Sarah Mehta, I think is a no-win opponent for me. Stopped by Golovkin and Munguia, but he showed how tough he is.
If I were to be that guy, the one that moans and tweets out nonsense, it would be that fight for me. Because
it's not it's not a challenge, or it's not really a...
You said it's a kind of a no-win fight. You're supposed to beat Kamil Zeramati. You're coming off a really good win against Liam Smith. You're not injured. You do live the life. You're in great shape. Why are we not going in there against someone really big at 160?
That fight was a while ago.
Yeah, it was, but he was linked to Canelo Alvarez.
No, I know.
So you can't be linked to Canelo Alvarez, Hamza Shiraz, and then fight Kamil Zeramati.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
that's my only...
I agree. You can't be sitting on your hands. An active fight is a dangerous fighter. Time is ticking. He does live the life. You're right, but it's just frustrating because he does have a profile. He has a big name. He's a big draw.
What we're seeing now with these Riyadh season fights is that it's
one then another.
It's getting us to the point. I'm dying to ask you two in particular 2 questions, if I may. Number one, Fraser Clark happening on a Riyadh card, not in England. A fight that sold out the O2, right? A tremendous fight. Do you have a problem with that?
No, because I know behind the scenes it was actually difficult to put this fight together again for them to go to again. And look, I'm always fighter first, fan very closely second. If the fighters are going to get paid X amount more to fight in Saudi Arabia, and we know how vicious that fight was, how violent it was, take the money.
Yeah.
Take the money.
So you don't feel like
a British title fight should be...
fight needs to happen?
No, just fight, please. But more to that, on you, obviously, 2 heavyweights. 2 heavyweights that, one of them has actually called you out as well, by the way. How do you think... It's not me. I'm not answering. I'm not going to do it. How dare they, right? Who do you think wins that one? Wardley Clark?
I feel like the first fight was very entertaining, very action-packed. I feel like it's going to be the same. I'm leaning towards Wardley. Again. Just, I feel like he can improve and show something different.
It might have been him that called you out. I can't remember.
Is it?
He might have been. I don't remember.
Clark. He's going Clark now.
Find him.
Why does it feel like the British public doesn't love Ben Whittaker as much as the American
Why
public?
not? Is it the showboating?
The American public seems to love him, and his clips go viral, and then I see the British public, and correct me if I'm wrong.
This is interesting because I think this is where me and you have a bit of a disagreement on this.
And he's also on this card, by the way. Ben Whitaker is like, oh, look.
I grew up with Prince Nassim Hamed, who was jumping over ropes and beating up bums, if you like, sometimes. And he was still doing exactly the same thing. And I grew a fan of it. I loved him. And then when he went up a level, he still was fighting in the same way. A lot of people said Ben won't do this when he fights the big names, if you like. I'm saying you can't start that style fighting the big names. You've almost got to practice it, if you like, fighting the small names. I love it. He's entertaining. There's a reason he's got 2 million Instagram followers. People want to see him fight. Yes. I'm a big fan of it.
I'm a fan of his, first and foremost. I think he's brilliant for boxing. It's natural. It comes natural to him. It's not fake, and I don't like it when you see these fake personalities come through just because they feel like they've got to do it. It's natural with Ben Whitaker. My only concern is, I know you've got to start in the lower levels as a professional, showing that you're a showboater, if you want to call it that. I just see it as a little bit of disrespect, glorified bullying. You know, I always think these guys, that they're legitimate journeymen. They're helping you progress as a fighter. They're going to take their kids to school the next day, and you don't know who's watched it and said, your dad looked silly yesterday.
What is that for him to care about?
Well, yeah.
He's trying to become.
I get it. I'm just maybe thinking as a former fighter and as a father, by all means, drop your hands and go with your opponents and things like that. But
with a tapping at the top of the head. But I like him.
Does it feel like the British public doesn't 100% support him because you need to be humble, you need, hard hat, go to work, bring your lunch pail, that type of thing, and they feel like he hasn't earned the right to act this way?
Maybe, but don't get me wrong, I want him to succeed. But I want it to be done in a classy manner. You got to remember, this is a gentleman's sport. This is, we've always held ourselves well, shoulders back, respectful people. There's not many in boxing.
As a current active boxer, do you have a problem with it? When you see that, do you say this guy's a
A problem with it? I feel like it's confidence. And I feel like if I had the energy to do the same thing, I would. But I can't do it. I'll just have to save it all for,
Does he have the punch power to go with everything? If he's got it, he's got the full package. If he doesn't, there might be...
What's the ceiling in your opinion? Like,
world level.
He can...
100%.
I believe that.
You believe that?
Yeah.
Does he need to step back? Does he need to dial it back to get to that point?
No, I think continue doing what you're doing. And he'll do it against Liam Cameron. He will fight exactly the same way against his opponent October 12th. But I think he's very special. And he's so indifferent. You're either going to watch him to get chinned or you're going to watch him to love him.
But you care.
So you care. You're invested, right? Very Floyd Mayweather-esque. Also on this card, by the way, is one of my favorite fighters, the most scariest boxer I've been around. Yeah. He's so intimidating. And that's Jai Opetaia, who takes on Jack Massey. We thought it could be Chris Billam-Smith for a unification fight. It isn't. Opetaia wants to stay busy. And he takes on Massey, who had a good performance against Isaac Chamberlain.
It's Opetaia 100% in this fight. It's another opportunity.
Don't sit on the fence, please.
It's an opportunity once again for Opetaia to showcase how good he is. I thought the Breedis rematch was brilliant. They showed how good he was, and it was comfortable until the end.
I'm the same as you. I feel like Jai is a special fighter. He's got very good footwork, and he's very serious about his work.
Yeah. He's scared.
In and out of the ring.
Very serious about his interviews.
Even interviews, if you're sitting around here, be very serious. I'm like, all sorts.
I feel like he'd be so much more popular too. Like he has just scratched the surface.
Is he big enough to make a jump to the heavyweight division? I mean, I look at someone like you and I say no immediately because you're a big boy right now. But we saw obviously Alexander Usyk do it. The comparisons are there, southpaw, skilled, etc., etc. Is there enough size to put meat on his frame? I mean, I'm not saying you versus him or anything. I'm just saying, because you're giving me that look for the side as well. I'm just saying, does he have the size? What do you think?
I think, like I said, I think he should try and dominate the cruiserweight division and get all the belts. And then once you've achieved that, similar to Usyk, then he can look at making the jump. But it does take time to put on proper size and to be a proper heavyweight. But Usyk has proven that it can be done.
Well, the fact that Usyk is the current champion should give him confidence. The problem is the road to Usyk is just filled with giants, right? It's like Usyk, the end boss is someone that is relatable size-wise, but then it's like this dude, Zhang,
Coley,
Dubois, AJ, Fury, like they're all gigantic, right? So I don't know if he could possibly side.
Yeah, that just go real. Yeah.
That's the problem, really, and it's funny, for lack of a better word, that the top dog is someone who is similar to him in terms of, the road and the size, but the idea of him like standing next to you or standing next to Zhang or, all these
so small. There you go. That was fun. And it all goes down October 12th, live on DAZN, the one that we've been waiting for a couple of years. Finally happens. Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol, plus a stellar undercard as well. Make sure you tune in.